The message came without warning. Across Earth, every screen flickered. Television sets, phones, even giant billboards in crowded cities froze. A strange symbol appeared, glowing silver lines that no human eye had ever seen before. Then a voice followed. It was cold, metallic, and full of command. People of Earth, the Galactic Council has judged your kind. You will kneel or you will burn. Silence spread across the planet. In homes, in offices, in schools, everyone listened. The voice continued, sharp and merciless. You are weak, divided, and primitive. You have been allowed to grow too long. Without order, kneel to the Council. Surrender your armies, surrender your world, or face annihilation. For a moment, humanity did not breathe. Governments scrambled. Leaders rushed to emergency meetings. Military satellites confirmed what people feared: strange shapes were moving near the edge of the solar system. Warships. Hundreds of them. Panic started to grow. News channels repeated the ultimatum. On the streets, people shouted, prayed, or fell into silence. Some cried, some grew angry. But no one could ignore the truth. The ultimatum gave Earth only 1 week to respond, inside the United Nations chamber. The debate was fierce. Some leaders demanded surrender. Others demanded resistance. But no one could agree on what to do. This is the end, one general whispered. They can destroy us before we even fire back. But not everyone in the chamber was afraid. A woman in a black uniform sat silently watching. Her eyes were calm, her face unreadable. When the shouting finally died down, she stood. Her voice was quiet but steady. They think we are weak. They think we have nothing. They are wrong. The room fell silent. She placed a small black device on the table. With a single press, the screens lit up. Footage appeared, dark shapes rising from deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Warships, not ordinary ones, but massive, sleek vessels, their hulls painted in matte black. They looked like shadows shaped into steel. Gasps filled the chamber. Some recognized the ships from rumors, but most had never seen them before. The Black Armada, the woman said. For 20 years it has waited in silence. It's built in secret, hidden from the world, waiting for this day. The leaders stared in disbelief. Humanity, divided for centuries, had somehow united in one secret, one hidden fleet that no outsider, not even most humans, knew existed. The woman leaned forward, her voice sharp. The Council demands we kneel. But humanity does not kneel. We answer with fire. Outside, the ultimatum still echoed across screens, replaying endlessly. But now, deep under Earth's oceans, engines began to awaken. Metal groaned as colossal warships rose through the dark waters, cloaked from alien eyes. The sea boiled as reactors came alive. Each ship was a monster black as night, silent as death. They carried weapons. Earth had never shown the stars. Above, Jupiter, alien scouts drifted closer, scanning for signs of human defenses. They expected to find nothing but satellites and small warships. Instead, their sensors flickered. For a brief moment, something vast appeared on their screens, then vanished. A shadow in the void. The alien commander frowned. Impossible, he whispered. But it was already too late. Back on Earth, the 1-week countdown had begun. News. Anchor spoke of surrender. Protesters filled the streets, begging leaders to bow before the Council. But somewhere far below, in steel chambers lit by red light, soldiers of the Black Armada armed themselves. They strapped into black armor, checked weapons forged for a war no one else believed possible. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were chosen, trained in secret, prepared since birth for this moment. One of them, a young man named Elias, sat in silence, staring at his reflection in his helmet. His hands trembled, but his eyes were sharp. Around him, veterans spoke in low voices, remembering wars long forgotten. The galaxy thinks we are prey, one muttered. They have no idea what predator waits in the dark. Outside, the oceans roared as the first ships of the Black Armada broke the surface. Water cascaded from their holes like waterfalls. Their engines lit the night sky with black fire. On the shore, fishermen stared in shock as titans of steel rose from the depths. Children pointed from rooftops. Civilians recorded shaky videos as shadows, larger than skyscrapers, moved silently toward the horizon. The ultimatum still played. The alien voice still repeated its command, kneel, burn. But the answer was already rising from Earth's seas, far above. In the void near Saturn, the alien scouts sent their last signal back to the Council. A single broken transmission filled, with static and fear, then silence. The countdown ticked on. Humanity had 1 week. The Council thought Earth would bend, but the galaxy had not yet met the Black Armada. The oceans trembled. Beneath the waves, machines that had slept for decades began to move. Massive hangar doors, hidden under layers of rock and steel, groaned open. Lights flickered in the darkness. Submerged cities of iron came alive. This was not a secret known to humanity at large. Even many world leaders had no idea. The Black Armada was the greatest lie ever kept, a project buried under silence and shadows. Now, the lie was ending. In the Pacific depths, a single command echoed through encrypted channels. Awaken. Engines roared. Black holes, built with alloys unknown to the galaxy, stirred like beasts from slumber. Submarine dry docks flooded as colossal ships detached from anchors and began to rise. Above the surface of the sea, split open. Water boiled, then surged upward. In massive columns, as the first warship breached the waves, it was a monster, nearly 2 kilometers long. Its hull reflected no light, no stars touched it, no radar could pierce it. It was a shadow turned solid, designed to frighten even before. It fired. On its deck, soldiers in black armor stood silently, their visors glowing faint red. No words were needed. Each man and woman had been prepared for this day, trained in secret. Sworn to a war humanity hoped would never come. Civilians on remote islands saw the first ships rise. Fishermen dropped their nets and stared. Some fell to their knees, praying. Others screamed, believing demons had come from the sea. Phones captured shaky footage. Within minutes, the videos spread worldwide. The Black Armada is real, voices whispered. It exists. Governments scrambled. Some demanded control, others demanded explanation. But the truth was simple. Control was no longer in there. Hands far above, alien warships crept into the solar system. Their formation was slow, arrogant, unafraid. To them, Earth was prey, and prey did not fight back. Their commander watched the blue planet grow larger on the display. His face carried a cruel smile. Within days, they will kneel. Their cities will burn until they bow. Yet his sensors flickered again. A strange reading near Neptune. A ghost signal. Something large, moving fast, but gone before the scan completed. Malfunction? He asked. No, Commander, replied the sensor officer uneasily. Something was there. The commander dismissed it. Humans cannot hide fleets. Continue forward. But already, shadows were moving in the void. On Earth, the Black Armada gathered. Dozens of warships rose from oceans, from hidden mountain caverns, from deserts where entire cities had been buried beneath the sand. Each vessel had a name written in black steel. Oblivion, Revenant, Silent Dagger. Nightfall, they were not symbols of hope. They were weapons of terror. Built not only to fight, but to frighten. Deep inside the flagship Eclipse, Admiral Rain stood before his crew. His voice was calm, yet every word carried steel. The Council has given us 1 week. They believe we are weak. They believe we are divided. They believe we will kneel. The room was silent. Every soldier, every officer listened. They are wrong, Rain continued. We are united. We are prepared. And the Black Armada will show them what happens when they mistake silence for weakness. The soldiers struck their fists against their armor in unison. The sound echoed like thunder. In orbit, human satellites shifted. Some went dark, replaced by hidden black stations that revealed themselves for the first time. Drones launched, forming swarms around Earth like an iron shield. The public was confused, fearful, but awe mixed with fear. Children stared from rooftops. As Titanic ships rose from the seas and vanished into the sky, old men whispered of legends and prophecies. Young recruits on Earth's bases begged to be taken aboard. The Black Armada did not respond. It did not explain. It moved with silence, answering only to its own command. 3 days into the ultimatum, the aliens finally crossed Neptune's orbit. Their sensors once again caught ghost signals, black shadows that appeared and vanished. The commander grew uneasy. "Something follows us," his officer whispered. "Impossible," he snapped. "This species has no fleet." But his words died when alarms screamed. One of his forward scouts gone. Not destroyed, not exploded. Gone, as if erased from existence. Static. Filled the comms. For a heartbeat, an image flashed, something massive, blacker than space itself, surrounding the scout. Then silence. The alien commander stared at the empty display, his smile gone. "Report this to the council," he ordered. His voice shook. "Tell them Earth is not alone." On the 4th day, the Black Armada assembled at the edge of Earth's orbit. 72 warships, each one armed with weapons that had never been seen in battle. Each one cloaked, silent, unseen by alien eyes. And yet, the galaxy would soon learn. The ultimatum still ticked down. The alien fleet still advanced. But now, the Black Armada was awake, and its silence was more terrifying than any words. The alien fleet entered the asteroid belt. Their ships glided through the void like predators, engines glowing faint blue. Each vessel carried enough firepower to erase cities in seconds. Their commander, Lord Varric, sat on the bridge of the flagship Tyrannus. His eyes burned with arrogance. "Earth is fragile," he told his officers. "Primitive. They cannot stand against the might of the Council. This is not war, it is punishment." The bridge crew laughed. Their sensors showed nothing but empty rocks and drifting ice. No fleets, no defenses. Only silence. But silence is dangerous. In the shadows of the belt, something moved. The alien scanners flickered, catching brief ghost signals that disappeared. Before they could be confirmed, officers reported errors, faulty readings. But one young technician whispered, "We are being watched." No one listened. Minutes later, the first blow struck. From behind an asteroid, a colossal black warship uncloaked. It was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. No bright colors, no banners. Only a hole darker than space itself, absorbing light. Bending shadows. Its cannons opened fire. Beams of energy cut across the void, slicing through the lead alien cruiser. The ship split in half, before it could even raise shields. Explosions tore through its spine. The crew of Tyrannus gasped as the image appeared on their screens. "What is that?" shouted an officer. Another black vessel appeared, then another. Shadows in the void, circling like wolves. The Black Armada had struck. Inside the eclipse, Admiral Rain gave his command. His voice was calm, cold, absolute, no survivors. The Armada moved with terrifying precision. Ships darted between asteroids, cloaks dropping only for a heartbeat as they fired, then vanishing again. Alien cruisers scrambled, shields flickering. Weapons firing blindly into empty space. They hit nothing. The aliens had expected an easy victory. Instead, they were prey in a hunting ground. On one alien cruiser, panic spread. Officers shouted in their native tongue, demanding orders. The captain screamed for retreat, but before the ship could turn, 3 black torpedoes struck. The hull folded inward, vanishing into silent fire. On another, soldiers ran to defense stations, only to hear the groaning of their ship being torn apart from within. Human boarding pods had latched onto their hull, and soldiers in black armor stormed the corridors. The aliens fired plasma rifles, but the humans moved like shadows, blades flashing, bullets tearing through alien flesh. In minutes, the ship was silent, its crew slaughtered, its command bridge taken. The humans left no mercy. Back on Tyrannus, Lord Varric finally saw the truth. Gripped the edge of his command chair, his arrogance fading to horror. This is impossible, he whispered. They were not supposed to have ships like this. Not like this. Another explosion shook the fleet. Half his formation was gone. The Black Armada tore through them, unstoppable. Every alien attempt at formation collapsed, and then silence again. The shadows vanished. Scanners showed nothing. The alien survivors floated, terrified, waiting for the next strike. One ship, crippled and burning, tried to send a distress call. Its signal reached the Council, but the message was broken, filled with static and screams. Only one phrase was clear. The humans have a fleet. A black fleet. The Council chamber fell into shock when the message played. Advisors whispered. Leaders shouted, some dismissed it as madness. But the fear in that alien's voice was undeniable. Something powerful had awakened on Earth. On the Eclipse. Admiral Rain stood on the dark bridge, watching the last enemy ship shatter into flames. First, blood has been drawn, he said softly. They will know now. They will fear us. His officers nodded in silence. No celebration, no cheers. The Black Armada did not fight for glory. It fought for survival and for vengeance. Deep inside the ship, soldiers cleaned their weapons. Some whispered prayers. Others sharpened blades. One young recruit, Elias, sat in the corner of the armory, staring at blood on his gauntlet. It was alien blood, still warm. He clenched his fist. This is only the beginning. At the edge of the asteroid belt, one alien ship escaped. Its engines burned hot, fleeing into the darkness. The crew was broken, their eyes wide with fear. They carried one mission now: warn the Council. Warn the galaxy. But even as they fled, they felt the shadows watching. Somewhere behind them, cloaked and silent, a black warship followed. Humanity had drawn first blood, the galaxy had thought. Earth would kneel. Instead, it had awakened a nightmare. The war had truly begun. The galaxy had heard the whispers. Across star systems, messages spread like wildfire. The humans have a fleet. A black fleet. The Black Armada. Some dismissed it as lies. Others laughed. But the survivors of the asteroid belt carried scars in their voices. The Council could not ignore the truth any longer. So they struck back. Alien warships peered over Mars without warning. The colony domes below lit with panic as civilians screamed and scattered. The aliens broadcast their command, their voices. Cold. Kneel. Surrender your colonies. Submit, and you will live. When no answer came, the bombardment began. Energy blasts rained down, cracking domes, tearing structures apart. Thousands of colonists fled into underground tunnels. Others never made it. In Europa's icy cities, the same scene played out. Alien troops landed in heavy transports, marching. Through human streets with rifles raised, families were dragged from shelters. Anyone resisting was executed in front of the others. The Council had grown impatient. If Earth would not kneel, its colonies would. Back on Earth, the news burned across. Every channel, the screams of colonists. The executions. The alien banner flying above Martian soil. In the war chambers of the Black Armada, Admiral Rain stood silent, his fists clenched. Around him, his officers waited. Finally, his voice cut through the silence. They want us broken. They want us to surrender our people. They believe we will watch in silence. His eyes burned. We will show them what happens when they touch what is ours. The Armada moved. Black warships slid from orbit, engines silent, cloaks shimmering. Civilians on Earth watched with awe as the shadows vanished into the stars. They did not know where the Armada was going, only that vengeance had been promised. On Europa, alien soldiers mocked the human prisoners. Chains bound their wrists, collars forced around their necks. The aliens jeered, calling them slaves of the Council. One human, bloodied and beaten, spat on his captor. The alien raised his weapon to strike, then froze. The sky above burned. The eclipse descended from the void like a phantom. Its cannons opened fire, tearing through the alien transports in seconds. Black fighters swarmed down. silent streaks of death cutting across the icy plains. The prisoners dropped to the ground as explosions thundered around them. Alien soldiers turned to fight, but the humans were already among them. From dropships, Black Armada Marines stormed the camps. Their armor gleamed in the firelight, their visors glowing red. They fought with blades and bullets, each strike brutal, each movement precise. No mercy. In less than an hour, the camps were ashes. The chains were shattered. The prisoners freed. On Mars, the battle was worse. Alien fortresses had been built quickly, and heavy warships patrolled the skies. But the Black Armada did not attack head-on. Instead, they came like ghosts. Cloaked ships drifted close, releasing infiltration teams. Black armored Marines crawled through vents, tunnels, and broken domes, cutting down guards one by one. Inside the largest prison dome, colonists heard gunfire, then silence, then footsteps. The heavy doors blew open. A squad of humans in black armor marched in. Their leader raised his helmet, showing a scarred face beneath. His voice was cold but steady. "You are free. Follow us." The prisoners wept, some kneeling, some clutching the soldiers' arms. For the first time since the invasion, they felt hope. From orbit, alien commanders panicked. Their fleets turned to regroup, but the Armada struck from every shadow. Missiles carved through their warships. Black beams cut their engines. Ships vanished into explosions before they could even return fire. Within hours, the Council's entire Martian fleet was gone. Admiral Rain's voice carried through every channel. Broadcast across the solar system. "You thought we would kneel. You thought we would beg. But you forgot one thing: humans do not forgive chains. You touch our people, and we burn your fleets." The message ended in silence. But that silence was more terrifying than any threat. On Europa, prisoners lit fires. In the ruins of their camps, celebrating their survival. On Mars, colonists cheered as the black warships passed overhead, their shadows painting the red dust. But not everyone was celebrating. On the alien capital world, the Council gathered. Fear crept into their voices. The fleet they had sent was gone, their colonies taken back, their prisoners freed. "This cannot be allowed," one counselor snarled. "If Earth spreads this rebellion, the galaxy itself may burn." Another counselor leaned forward, whispering words heavy with dread. "The Black Armada fights like no species we have ever faced. They do not retreat. They do not show mercy. They break chains and they will break us." And far from the councils, chambers deep in the dark, the Armada moved again. The war was no longer about Earth kneeling. It was about the galaxy learning what humanity truly was. The Council was afraid. Mars and Europa had been freed. Their fleets had been shattered. Their colonies burned in front of the entire galaxy. The humans had not begged. They had not surrendered. They had fought with shadows and fire, and worse rumors spread. Whispers moved from one star system to another. Traders spoke of black warships that appeared without warning. Prisoners told tales of human soldiers who struck like demons in the night. The name was carried on every tongue, now the Black Armada. Fear was spreading faster than the Council could contain, so they turned to a different weapon. Not fleets, not armies, but spies. In the Outer Rim stations, agents were sent to blend in with human workers. They wore disguises, studied human speech, tried to walk among them unnoticed. Their mission was simple: find the truth. Where had these ships come from? How had this species, so young, built weapons so powerful? The Council needed answers. On Earth, life had changed. The public knew now. Videos of the Armada's ships had spread to every corner of the planet. Children wore drawings of black warships on their school bags. Families prayed for the Armada at night, whispering thanks to the shadows that protected them. But with glory came fear. People wondered if Earth would survive the war. Some whispered about surrender. Some protested in the streets, demanding leaders. Hand control back to the Council before Earth was burned, and among them moved the spies. They listened. They recorded. They searched. One agent, disguised as a worker in New London, followed a man she suspected was linked to the fleet. He carried strange badges, and spoke with soldiers no one else dared approach. She followed him into the underground trains. But before she could report back, a hand gripped her shoulder. She turned and froze. A soldier in black armor stood behind her, visor glowing red. The last thing she heard was his voice, calm and cold. "We know what you are." The next day, her body was found floating in the Thames. The Shadow War had begun. The aliens sent more spies, desperate to uncover the Armada's secrets. Some infiltrated colonies. Some bribed desperate humans. Some hacked into systems, trying to break free will. But the Black Armada was watching. In the tunnels of Europa, a team of spies tried to steal ship blueprints. They never returned. In the deserts of Mars, alien agents bribed miners for information. Their camp was found days later, burned to ash. The Armada left no spies alive. Still, rumors spread even among humans. Some whispered that the ships were not built by Earth, that they had been found, not forged, that the Armada was older than humanity itself. "Maybe they're not ours," a worker whispered in a bar. "Maybe the ships belong to something else, something that died, and we just woke them up." Others argued, "No, they're ours. We built them. We bled for them. Why the galaxy fears us." The truth remained locked in shadows. Meanwhile, in deep space, the Armada struck. Again, alien convoys carrying weapons were destroyed.
Supply stations
were erased. A council armory world, guarded by a full fleet, went dark in one night. When survivors searched the ruins, they found a message carved into blackened steel. "We see you. We hear you. We are coming." The council panicked. Their fleets grew paranoid, firing at shadows. Every sensor ghost became a terror. Every flicker of static became a warning. And yet, they still had one hope. A weapon, hidden deep in their armories. The Council had been developing Planet Killer's massive bombs, capable of burning entire worlds. If they could deliver one to Earth, the humans would have no choice but to kneel. So they sent a convoy, quiet, hidden, guarded by the strongest ships they had left. But Earth knew. The Armada intercepted them in the dark between stars. Cloaked ships appeared, surrounding the convoy. From every side, the aliens fired in panic. But their weapons struck only asteroids. The humans answered with silence and then fire. One by one, the convoy ships vanished into explosions. The Planet Killer was seized, dragged into the hold of the Eclipse. Admiral Rain stood before it, studying the monstrous weapon. His officers looked uneasy. "Should we destroy it, sir?" one asked. Rain's voice was cold. "No, we will keep it. We'll show them what it means to live in fear." When the council learned of the loss, chaos erupted in their chambers. "They not only destroyed our fleets," one counselor shouted, "they stole our greatest weapon. Do you not see? They fight us in the light. They fight us in the dark. Every day we lose. Every day they grow stronger." Another whispered the words many feared to say aloud. "What if the galaxy is no longer ours?" On Earth, the people cheered when the news spread, though they never learned the full truth. They only knew the Armada had struck again, and the aliens had failed. But among the shadows, humanity's greatest weapon was no longer the Planet Killer. It was fear. The galaxy was beginning to break, and the Black Armada had only just begun. The galaxy had seen wars before, but nothing like this. When the Black Armada moved, the stars themselves seemed to darken. Entire sectors fell silent as their ships appeared without warning. They did not fight for glory. They did not waste words. They moved like shadows, striking only where it hurt the most. On the bridge of the human flagship Oblivion, Captain Rourke studied the tactical screen. Dozens of red markers' enemy fleets moved like swarms of fire, but behind them, hidden, deep in uncharted space, the Black Armada waited. The Council believed they had humanity cornered. What they didn't know was that the trap was set for them. "Report," Rourke ordered, his voice calm. "Council fleets have split," said his second officer. "One group is chasing our decoys. The main force is heading for Mars." Rourke's jaw tightened. Mars, the first colony, humanity's red jewel. If the Council reached it, millions would die. But he was not afraid. He knew what waited for them in the darkness. Across the void, the Council Armada advanced with arrogance. Their admirals mocked the humans, calling them the last sparks of a dying fire. They believed they had crushed Earth's resistance. They believed the humans would break like every other world before. But then, their sensors picked up something strange. A distortion, ripple. Out of the black, the first ships of the Black Armada appeared. They did not decloak with light, they unfolded from shadows, as if space itself had birthed them. Towering warships shaped like daggers, their hulls darker than night. At their lead, the Oblivion lit its engines, fire streaking across the void. The Council fleet froze. No record spoke of ships like these. No archives showed weapons of such design. It was as if humanity had become something else, something alien. "Contact," shouted a Council officer. Unknown vessels. Dozens. No, hundreds. Before their commanders could issue orders, the Black Armada struck. From the sides of their warships, beams of energy lanced outward, cutting through enemy shields like paper. Missiles streaked, bending mid-flight, hunting targets with perfect precision. Council cruisers exploded in silence, fire blossoming in the vacuum. The admirals shouted, demanded formations, screamed for counterfire. But the Black Armada was everywhere. They moved faster than expected, their weapons biting deeper than any defense could endure. On the bridge of the Oblivion, Captain Rourke watched calmly. Execute Phase 2. Suddenly, smaller human strike ships darted out from behind the Armada, weaving between enemy lines. They didn't attack directly. Instead, they targeted the weak points, the communication hubs, the supply ships, the repair vessels. In minutes, the Council's war machine began to collapse. One by one, their fleets broke. Their admirals realized too late they were not the hunters. They were prey, and the chaos messages spread across the galaxy. Reports of impossible human. Ships of an armada no one had known existed. Fear spread like wildfire. Worlds that once mocked humanity now whispered in dread. The Black Armada has returned. But inside the heart of the battle, something darker stirred. Rourke's eyes narrowed at the tactical feed. Council Dreadnought was powering up a weapon capable of devastating half the battlefield. If it fired, thousands of human ships would be lost. "Bring us closer," Rourke commanded. His officers hesitated. The Dreadnought was massive, bristling with weapons. To face it directly was suicide. But they obeyed. The Oblivion surged forward, its black hull cutting across the battlefield. Enemy fire rained down, explosions bursting around it. Yet the warship pressed on, silent and relentless. As the Dreadnought's weapon reached full charge, Rourke gave a final order: fire the spear. From the core of the Oblivion, a single beam erupted. It was not bright like other weapons, it was pure darkness, a line that cut through space itself. The beam tore through the Dreadnought, splitting it in half in one silent instant. For a moment the Council fleet froze, their courage shattered. The Black Armada pressed the advantage. Within hours, the once mighty enemy fleet was nothing but debris drifting in the void. When silence finally returned, the humans did not cheer. There was no celebration. Rourke stood on the bridge, staring into the stars. He knew this was only the beginning. The Council would not surrender. They would gather more fleets, call upon more allies. The war was far from over, but the galaxy now understood one truth. Humanity was no longer weak. Humanity no longer begged for peace. The Black Armada had struck-hand the galaxy would never forget. The war had reached its peak. But for weeks, battles had been fought across empty star systems, asteroid belts, and shattered colonies. The Black Armada was no longer a whisper in the galaxy. It was a storm. Its ships were feared. Its captains were legends. Nerf's name spread like a warning through alien networks. Not provoke humanity. But the enemy was far from finished. The empire that had demanded Earth's surrender still had weapons hidden away. Weapons old and forbidden. It now, desperate to break the humans, they unleashed them. The news reached Admiral Kane aboard the flagship Oblivion. Reports told of massive war machines, ancient Titan ships built in forgotten ages. These ships were not just larger than human dreadnoughts. They were alive, bound with alien minds, and programmed for destruction. When the first Titan emerged from hyperspace, even hardened, human soldiers felt fear. The alien vessel was kilometers long, shaped like a living beast of metal, with tendrils that lashed through space and weapons that bent gravity itself. Whole asteroids were pulled into fragments as it passed. On the bridge of the Oblivion, silence filled the air as the Titan approached. "It's not just a ship," whispered one officer. "It's a god of war." But Admiral Kane's voice remained steady. "Then we show it that gods can bleed." The Black Armada formed up, ships shifting into attack lines. Missiles streaked forward, railguns fired, and plasma beams cut across the void. Explosions rippled against the Titan's hull, but the monster barely slowed. Its counterattack came like thunder. Entire human frigates were torn apart in seconds. Gravity weapons crushed steel as if it were paper. Thousands of lives vanished in moments. Still, the Armada did not run. Humanity had never bowed, and they would not start now. Captain Reyes, commanding the battleship Vanguard, broke through enemy fire and launched a suicidal strike. His ship was torn in half, but his missiles pierced the Titan's armor, leaving a gaping wound that spewed molten fragments into space. His sacrifice sent a shockwave of courage across the fleet. One by one, human warships pressed closer. The Titan howled, its alien core glowing brighter. The Armada fought like wolves surrounding prey. Then, without warning, a second Titan appeared. The fleet faltered. Even Admiral Kane clenched his jaw. Two Titans at once, two living war gods. And more signals were detected in the void. The enemy had not released one weapon, they had released many. The battlefield turned into a storm of fire. Human ships were swallowed by energy blasts, their wreckage scattering like broken bones. The sky burned. The Black Armada was bleeding, yet even in the chaos, humanity found ways to strike back. The dreadnought Eclipse rammed into the second, Titan its reactors overloading in a final act of defiance. The explosion lit the darkness, ripping off massive sections of the Titan's hull. Still, the fight dragged on. Days passed. The Armada lost ship after ship, but they refused to retreat. This was more than survival, it was defiance. It was proof that Earth would never kneel. Admiral Kane stood on his bridge, surrounded by smoke and sparks, his fleet reduced to half its strength. The Titans loomed before him, wounded but still alive. The galaxy was watching. Billions of eyes waited to see if humanity would finally fall. He gave one final order: we burn them, or we burn with them. The Armada surged forward in a last, desperate assault. Missiles rained, cannons roared, drones swarmed. Every ship, every soldier gave everything they had left. The void trembled with the fury of humankind. The Titans faltered. One collapsed, split apart by endless fire. The second howled in silence as its core overloaded, but the cost was unbearable. More than half the Armada was gone. Heroes were dead.
Oh.
Ships that had carried Earth's hope were nothing but wreckage. When the battle ended, the void was filled with silence and drifting metal. Titans had fallen, but so had many of humanity's finest. For a moment, it looked like victory. For a moment, it looked like hope. But then came the final signal, a transmission. Echoed across the stars sent from the Empire's heartworlds. It was not a threat. It was not a demand, it was a promise. The true fleet is coming. And this time, even Admiral Kane felt the chill of fear. The galaxy was silent. The war was over, but the echoes of battle still traveled through the stars. Wrecks of alien ships floated like broken bones, reminders of what had been lost. Entire fleets that once looked invincible now drifted as burned-out husks. In the center of this silence stood the Black Armada, humanity's greatest war fleet. Their hulls still carried scars of battle, but their formation was steady, unshaken. They had fought the galaxy, and they had not fallen. On Earth, people filled the streets, watching news feeds from orbit. The children waved flags. Families wept for the ones who had not returned, but their grief was mixed with pride. For the first time in history, The galaxy had been forced to kneel not to cruelty, not to tyranny, but to human defiance. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the Erebus. His face was lined with exhaustion, but his eyes were hard. He had watched worlds burn. He had given orders that would haunt him forever. But he also knew one truth. If humanity had bowed, Earth would already be ash. Status of the fleet? He asked. 70% of our ships remain operational, his officer replied. Repairs are underway. Galaxy is retreating. No one dares to challenge us. Reyes nodded, but his voice was low. They will return. Not today. Not tomorrow, but one day they will test us again. Outside, across alien space, whispers spread. Civilizations that had once mocked humanity now spoke with fear. The name Black Armada became legend. Entire systems sent envoys to Earth offering peace, treaties, and trade. They did not come because they loved humanity. They came because they feared what would happen if they did not. On the Galactic Council floor, silence filled the chamber when Earth's representative entered. No threats were spoken this time. No ultimatums. Instead, every species looked away, the Council had demanded. Earth kneel. Instead, they had been forced to watch their own fleets burn. But humanity did not declare conquest. That was the greatest shock of all. The Black Armada could have enslaved worlds. They could have demanded tribute. Instead, they simply sent one. Message across every channel: we will not bow. We will not be broken. Leave Earth in peace, or face the Armada again. It was not the threat of tyrants. It was the vow of survivors. Still, among the admirals, tension lingered. Humanity had shown its hand. The galaxy now knew of the Black Armada, of the hidden fleet built in secret, forged in silence. There would be no returning to shadows. Had stepped onto the stage of history, and the galaxy was watching. Years later, in schools across Earth, children learned about the ultimatum. They learned how the galaxy had demanded their surrender. They learned how the fleets had come proud and endless. And they learned how the Black Armada had answered. Some called it the Day of Fire. Others called it the Silence of the Stars. But on Earth, people called it something simpler. The day we stood tall. Yet even in peace, the Armada remained. Ships stayed in orbit, black steel against the glow of stars. Crews trained, captains drilled, weapons were maintained. For they knew peace was fragile. The galaxy might smile today, but shadows moved in the dark. On the bridge of the Erebus, Admiral Reyes looked out at the endless night. He thought of the cost, thought of the faces of the dead. And then he gave the order that would echo through the years. Keep the fleet ready. We will not strike first. But if they come again, we will finish what we started. The officers stood in silence. The vow was made, and so the Black Armada waited. A fleet not of conquerors, but of guardians. A fleet forged by fire, scarred. By loss, but unbroken. The galaxy had demanded Earth kneel. Instead, humanity stood, and from that day on, the stars would never forget the name Black Armada.